In 1872, two existing factories were consolidated into one site called the Kensington Works. There's a picture on the right-hand side of a small part of the Kensington Works that existed in the 1950s, 1960s, which is the bottom right-hand corner of the map. But in fact, there was a flint mill, the Havelock Mill, and a big earthenware manufactory premises. Three leases that came together to make up the Kensington Works. So in 1877, a new trade journal came out called the Pottery Gazette. This was the start of marketing to the international trade, so in particular to the US, North America, Australia, the parts of the British Empire. In the same year, 1877, Queen Victoria was proclaimed Empress of India, just to keep you up to speed on how the empire was doing in 1877. In about 1878, 1879, John Bevington produced his first international price list. This was another innovation at the time. It was only in 1875 that the Universal Postal Union, which was a United Nations agency looking to assist cooperation between postal sector players, that a book rate for pamphlets was invented and set up. So in 1875, you paid only 1 old penny for a 2-ounce packet. In 1879, this went down to a halfpenny for a 2-ounce packet. This allowed customers to order in advance and for the producers to produce to order. This was a world first, and John Bevington took advantage of it. The price list listed 556 items. The largest items was 30 inches tall. The most expensive item was £7 in price, which I think in today's money is about £700 for a particular piece of Parian porcelain or earthenware. Arguably quite good money in today's terms. The cheapest items for a pair at about 7 pence each is the equivalent of about £2.50 or £5 for the pair. In 1880, he produced and had patented a new product which involved adding small fragments of china to the exterior of clay before glazing. This was partly in response to younger brother Thomas, who did a similar thing 8 or 9 months earlier. But it was successful, although this looks a sort of greeny color in the picture. It is in fact a yellow or goldy color. Thomas Bevington produced something which was definitely a green and was known as mossware. But this was a new patent that was registered at the time. This was advertised in the trade papers. So latest speciality, the new stucco ware. The name never really caught on. Here's an example of a man and a barrow with the yellow goldy bits of fragments attached to the barrow, and then raised flowers, roses around the outside. His advertising in this time, 1881, included the Royal Coat of Arms, a mention of a contractor to the International Exhibition, 1862. It also mentions he's just doubled his producing power, which I think was when he took on a new lease from neighbour, the Clemenson brothers. He's also talking about new designs in fancy china averaging 10 per week. That's pretty substantial. 10 designs a week, one every one or two, almost two every day, is a substantial amount of designs. John was now in 1882, he's now 48, and he continued with full-page advertisements in the Pottery Gazette, promoting his new raised flour goods, and in this case, on the left-hand side, Kensington fruitware. So there was raised fruit goods that I don't think took off as much as the raised flour goods. There was also in 1885 an appeal to on the cheapness of the products that he was producing, which he was sending out in crates at 10 guineas a time. Everything that was produced by John Bevington under patent at the Kensington Works had this new mark on the right-hand side with the royal seal saying, by royal letters patent, John Bevington Kensington Works, Hanley, Staffs. The 1880s was not a really good time for the pottery sector. In 1887, younger brother James went bankrupt. In 1890, younger brother Thomas found himself in financial difficulties. There were strikes and all kinds of things that made life difficult for potters in the potteries. One of his last initiatives, age 52, was a further patent. I, John Bevington of Broad Street, Hanley, in the county of Stafford, earthenware manufacturer, do hereby declare the nature of this invention to be as follows. And it's talking about washing bowls and basins with two holes just below the surface on the top of the bowls. There is an example in subsequent advertising. You can just see there the toilet bowl with two holes for hands to help lift the toiletware. This was sufficiently different to be patented in 1891. Of the 10 children that reached adulthood, the three eldest sons, George, Arthur, and Leon, were to take over the Kensington Works when John died. On the right-hand side, you can just see a logo, KFA and Co. They named the new venture the Kensington Fine Art Pottery Company after the name of the factory, the Kensington Works. Martha Annie, the second daughter, and the youngest daughter, Jessie Robertson, did not get married. We've talked about Mary Elsie marrying W. Edgar Stevens. The three other daughters, Frances, Evelyn, and Beatrice, are worthy of mention because they all married three brothers with the surname Pickford. Not quite sure what that says about social mobility and the opportunity to meet new people in that period, but that's just the reality. So the Kensington Works Some of those buildings that I showed you a picture of earlier existed up until 2005, when Tesco came along and agreed with the council to build a big Tesco Works, and also at the same time fund the building of a dual carriageway called the Potteries Way, which was built in 2010. You can just see on a little Google map that I printed off 3 or 4 years ago where the Kensington Works were half underneath the left-hand lane of the dual carriageway in front of the Tesco. This is the Tesco petrol station just here above on the top side of the map. Last week I was in Stoke, and I did take a picture of what the ground looks like now opposite the big Tesco Extra store, and you can see it's been flattened even further. There's no possibility of seeing where the old roads were. He died in November 1891, aged 54, leaving money to his wife and his eldest daughter. One of the reasons why his health may not have been quite as brilliant as other brothers was when he was working for Minton's, aged between 12 and 18. Minton's had just invented this product, Majolica. There's just been a massive international exhibition called Majolica Mania. Now, one of the prime ingredients to Majolica is a big lead glaze, which has 40–50% lead in the glaze. That was extremely unhealthy for anyone that came into contact with it. I'm not sure how much a male apprentice would have been involved in producing Majolica, but he was apprenticed as a painter and gilder. That could have had some impact on his life expectancy. So he died aged 54. He was buried in Hanley Cemetery, which is the oldest cemetery in Staffordshire. But there's no sign of his grave now. Many of the graves have fallen apart with time or been vandalized, and it can't be found now. But I can show you something of the products that he produced, because we've been talking about his manufacturing process. My final slide looks at some of his products. So the heritage of John Bevington remains. Here are some examples of the pottery that he produced. The top line is this stucco ware with the fragments of pottery with a yellow gold effect added to the pot, and then raised flowers added on top of the yellow gold product. The middle line is really pottery that can be classified as Dresden or Meissen, such as spill vases or sweet mill dishes, candelabra. The bottom line are raised flower goods. Thanks for watching. This is a reworked part 2 of a talk given in February 2023 with a focus on John Bevington's last factory. I welcome feedback. Do leave any questions or remarks in the comments below. Look out for part 1 of John's early life and more of Stoke-on-Trent's ceramic heritage on the Potteries Author channel.